This is The Litter Box, a Detroit Lions podcast with your hosts, Chet West and Bill Patterson.
Lions Litter Box listeners, welcome back to the Litter Box, a Detroit Lions podcast with your hosts, Chet West and Billy P. from the D. Patterson. We had an interesting game there against Cleveland, took care of business, what I would say fairly easily. It wasn't the cleanest game, and I think Dan Campbell would agree with us. Offense at times sputtered, defense at times looked beatable, but Browns were just no match in the end, really. Bill, any thoughts on last weekend's game?
Yeah, the final score probably wasn't as indicative, 34-10 is like the actual game was. That being out there in the ether, what I would say is the Browns defense is legit. Their front four is as good as you're going to see in the NFL. They drafted with the first pick in the second round a guy named Carson Schlesinger, who I'm seeing at the Jim Caldwell quarter poll of the NFL season, in which our Honolulu Blue Warriors and Silver Warriors are 3-1. Atop the NFC Norris division. But going back to my point, Carson Schlesinger is a great linebacker who could be Defensive Rookie of the Year through the quarter poll. And their cornerbacks, whether it's in a nickel or a straight four or a dime, play really well. So the Lions had tough sledding on it. But again, the offensive line wore them down. And I am convinced that Penei Sewell is the best offensive lineman in the NFL.
I'm pretty sure he is at this point, and our PFF grades we're going to give you here in a little bit will prove that out too. I think it's one of these things where you got the best defense in the NFL coming into the game. Not sure where exactly the Browns are ranked now after we tore them apart, but best defense in the NFL coming into the game. And they may have been the reason why our offense just didn't look to be operating at top level at times in this game. You're going to run into that. I mean, a great offense can make a great defense look bad. A great defense can make a great offense look bad at times. So I'm chalking it up to that. We can go through the PFF grades and I can show you that everything's down a little bit for the offense. So maybe that's telling. Maybe that's a piece of it. It's kind of like baseball. Good pitching can make a good offense look bad. Good hitters look bad. I go with it. I kind of went with it on that. It seemed like a little bit of a struggle of a game at times.
We talked about the Lions offense eventually wearing down the Browns defense and how good the Browns defense is. Let's talk about the other two phases of the game, because that's really the keys to what happened in the outcome of this game.
Fire away.
So one, since I'm Billy Special Teams, I absolutely had to love
you and your special teams.
Khalif Raymond had a huge punt return for a touchdown that was absolutely awesome. Every listener of our sister pod, the Detroit Tigers Litter Box, knows my favorite play in baseball is a triple. My favorite play in football is a punt return for a touchdown.
Really?
So,
that's interesting. I did not know that.
Love it. Love
fabulous information.
So I love
needed to
Dorsey.
Do something too.
And then the Jack brothers were fantastic, and Fox and Bates. Bates hit monster field goals, and Fox, every punt was inside the 20, pinning the Browns and deep in their area, their own, zone. And then let's talk about the Browns offense. This is really where the Lions emerged victorious, despite the fact that now in 4 straight games, our Honolulu Blue and Silver Warriors have given up an opening drive touchdown. So
it's odd.
If Dan Campbell picks to receive the kick to start the game one more time, I'm going to be really upset, because they go 3 and out, allow a touchdown, and I'm already miserable midway through the first quarter.
Almost like it's scripted at that point.
It really is.
Such an oddity, because I think the Browns had some absolute record of futility this year in the first quarter, like hadn't scored any first quarter points or something crazy. And here they go. They score on the very first drive of the game, which is what the Lions just seem to do. The announcer, I think it was Jonathan Vilma, was like, they're slow starters this season. I was like, okay, you think so?
I wasn't going to bring him up, but since you did, if they don't fire him immediately, he is the worst.
I'm fine with him. I think I'm fine.
Oh my God.
With him.
Go
I
to
know
bed.
You don't like him. I know.
Chet, he made so many mistakes. He talks about, he does no research. Nobody knows. What team did he win a Super Bowl with? Do you know?
Was it the Saints?
Okay, good for you. So, but I bet most don't know that. Yeah, he's the worst. Anyway, Marv Albert's kid isn't much better. So I just picture him walking in.
Albert's kid.
That's who Kenny Albert is. It's Marv Albert's kid.
I know. He's got a name. He's got a name. Kenny Albert.
His dad likes wearing women's undergarments, and that's his pops. So anyway, offense, the Browns, terrible. They've got a few pieces to build off and a couple rookies, a rookie tight end out of Bowling Green. Number 44, I think, is Harold Fanning. And then they've got Quinson Junkins. He had some drops, too.
He's a Bowling Green guy. Yeah.
So, your fellow Mac brethren. But Joe Flacco's best days are long past. He is a statue.
Think his career's over?
He is a statue back there.
Yeah.
And Aiden Hutchinson feasted on him today. Yeah. The Lions were so confident that they started opposite Hutch at the other edge position. Drum roll for Pat O'Connor.
That's second week in a row O'Connor started.
Which is, I can't believe that you start him 2 weeks in a row and get 2 wins.
I don't know.
All right. Let's dive into your PFF grades, and then we'll preview the Cincinnati Bengals.
Sounds wonderful. All right. So I gave you a little hint earlier already as it is, but Penei Sewell sits atop the Lions' offensive grades with an 81.9 this week. So that's the highest we capped out in the week. He had an 86.9 run block and a 68.2 pass block for this week's effort. I believe he was going up against Myles Garrett for a good portion of the game. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Or was Garrett on the other end? I couldn't
They
remember.
mixed him.
They mixed him back and forth. But I know he was going up against Garrett for a good bulk of the game.
I think he played close to 40 snaps against Garrett.
Yeah,
so that grade
that sounds about
you can
right.
probably add 10 to 12 points to that grade, given that he was going up against, in my mind, and this is no disrespect to R97, Hutch. Myles Garrett is the best edge rusher in professional football.
I'm not going to debate that with you. He's definitely up there. Number 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon 70.2 this week. His passing game grade was a 69.7. So not what we saw previous week from Amon-Ra, but still up there at a 70. And then third was Graham Glasgow at a 70. You had Jared Goff at a 66.8, and then Laporta rounded out the top of the group with a 62.9.
So just one thought from me. Great that Graham Glasgow, who was so guilty week 1 in Green Bay at Lambeau, just not having great communication, not having great snaps, being victimized by having essentially a second-year player, but 2 rookies on either side of him and both guard spots. And he has really righted the ship. And I am really, really happy that he is a Detroit Lion. And I think thus far, if I had to give a game ball on the offense, I think he's getting it, even though Sewell's the best player on the offense.
He had a good game run blocking this time. It was kind of odd. Like, he did good run blocking, but his pass blocking grade was down a little bit at 54. But either way, a 70, that's all I really expect from Graham Glasgow.
How about you give me the bottom 2 or 3 on offense, and let's move over to the defense.
Christian Mahogany comes in at the very bottom on offense. He had a 39.4 overall. He had a 56 pass block and a 44.2 run block. That sort of shocked me because I don't remember him being that bad. But what shocks me even more is Taylor Decker, second to last, with a 40.4.
Yeah, because Garrett kept lining up over there.
Yeah. So there you go again with, the great player makes the other great player sometimes look bad. Pass block for Taylor Decker was 25.9. That is atrocious, Taylor. I don't know what was going on out there, but
he still has a bum shoulder. He's not practicing, and he went up against. I mean, we've stated that. So yeah. So Montgomery and then Ratledge were the bottom 4. Even though I thought Tate Ratledge had the better game than the guy I want to call out.
Credit him.
That should have been last on this is Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
he was targeted 8 times, and he had 2 catches, and he looked lost.
J-Mo
running the wrong routes.
He was terrible.
And now I understand, like all summer and off season, I was real confused, Chet. Like Johnny Morton, trust me to run more of the route tree.
Sure,
he's introducing it. And I'm like, okay, you've been a professional receiver now
this is his 3rd season, right?
Yeah. And you played 3 seasons at Alabama, which is basically like playing for a pro program.
Low-grade pro team, yeah.
I'm saying that they have route trees. It's not like he was in a wishbone, wing T offense. I mean, he was running a pro-style offense. He must be the dumbest person on that roster.
Well, David Montgomery only got 20 snaps and got a 44.6. And he did not have a great game, although he did pass block quite well. Got a great grade for that. Jameson Williams had a 47 overall, which is terrible for a guy that you just gave millions to over the next couple of years.
I don't like him.
There seem to be games where he just disappears. Not only just disappears, he just plays poorly. If he just disappeared, it might be okay. At any rate, yeah, we'll move on from there. Those are your offensive grades. Let me grab you some defensive grades. Things get somewhat interesting here. All right. So at the top of the defense is our guy, Aiden Hutchinson, 92.6. His pass rush grade was a 94.2. Jack Campbell came in at number 2. I think deservedly. He seemed to be all over the field this week. Kind of like we had Derek Barnes last week. Was all over the field and got a fairly high grade. This week it was Jack Campbell who was all over the field and got a high grade. He had an 89.3 overall. And his run defense score was up there with an 81.7, tackling an 82. And number 3, this one shocked me, Bill, because we didn't hear his name nearly as much this week as we did last week, but Al-Qadim Muhammad was the number 3 guy with an 86.2 overall.
Good for him.
He must have been doing a lot in there that we didn't really realize. His pass rush grade was an 82.9, which is pretty darn good. He only got 25 snaps this week, so they didn't utilize him quite as much as the previous.
He was banged up.
Yeah, I think he must have been. And then Nowaski and DJ Reed, unfortunately, DJ Reed with the injury, rounded it out at the top 5 there.
All right.
The bottom.
Give us the bottom.
Tyleek Williams. Tyleek had a 49. So he had a rough go, although his pass rush grade was a 60.9. So he improved there. It was his run defense where he struggled. It's down in the 40s. And then you had Terrion Arnold, was the second worst. He had a 58.7. His run defense and his tackling grades have always been kind of up there a little bit. He does pretty well on that, but his coverage grade was a 50. And I don't know if he's going to get it. What are your thoughts along those lines?
Well, I do have thoughts on Terrion Arnold.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as my thoughts on Jameson Williams, is what's going on there with both those guys, because those are 2 guys that the Lions have invested heavily in that we are not seeing first-round production out of whatsoever. And I think it's a testament probably to how good Nick Saban was and how good his assistant coaches were.
Quite possible.
And no slight to MCDC. I just think the magnifying glass is on it. And so the Lions are 10 or 10.5 point favorites this week against the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium. Joe Burrow is not playing. He is out long term. I still think this is going to be a close game. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
The Lions are 10 or 10.5 point favorites, depending which line you see, as the visiting team at Paycor Stadium. Joe Burrow is out, but so is DJ Reed.
Yeah.
And clearly, as we just talked about, we're concerned about Terrion Arnold. Injury or no injury, he has not played well to start this season. If you're going to bet on this game, hammer the Bengals. Higgins and Chase are going to have themselves a field day. If you have either of them in fantasy, take them. I do think the saving grace is that the Lions front 4 will be able to rush Jake Browning. I don't think the Bengals will have a real strong run game, but I do think the Lions, for the 5th straight game, will give up an opening drive touchdown. And I think it'll be one of those 2 receivers that does it. What are your thoughts on what I just shared?
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing that the Bengals have going against them. They have a bad quarterback, right now in Browning, but they have a worse offensive line. Their offensive line is absolutely atrocious. Our defensive line, like you're saying, the Bengals receivers should tee off on us, and I don't doubt that. They probably will get their chances because I think they're going to be throwing a lot. Our D-line should have a field day on Browning. I mean, this could look like Flacco Part 2 in a lot of ways, and maybe better. Their interior line, their guards and tackles, their guards especially, are absolutely awful. Ted Karras is their center. He's about the only redeeming quality they have on their team. I watched some of the video from last week's game against the Broncos. It was not a pretty deal. And what it does make you wonder is how much is Joe Burrow covering for?
A lot. I think he's in and out. He is the most valuable player on his team for any team in the league. I think he covers up every wart that they have on that offense.
Right. I think you're dead right on that. I do not think that this Bengals team is going to be able to keep our defensive our pass rush in check. And Chase Brown's a dangerous halfback. He's good. So if they can block for him, which they don't have great run block grades at all and haven't blocked for him that well. He makes a lot on his own, though. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, Higgins and Chase should have a day. And they're going to get a lot of chances. They're going to be throwing the ball. I think we're going to get up on them. I don't think their defense is very good at all either, which is a secondary problem for them. I mean, they've got
Hendrickson and a bunch of other dudes.
Yeah, they got Hendrickson, but a whole bunch of other awful players starting. I mean, their middle linebackers are bad. We could have a field day running in this game.
We're going to. So can I do the human interest story?
Yeah. Give us a human interest story.
The Tom Rinaldi human interest story on the sidelines.
I love this.
So
Give it to us.
It's Knuckles' homecoming. David Montgomery, he is from the Cincinnati area, was not recruited heavily except by Iowa State, went there, drafted by the Bears, and signed with the Lions as a free agent. There was a tragic and unfortunate accident involving his sister where she was paralyzed, I believe, from like the shoulders down. And she has not been able to see him play because she lacks the ability to travel distances, and he has yet to play in his professional career in his hometown of Cincinnati. That will happen at 3:25 Central Standard Time this Sunday. He is going to go off. So I echo everything you said. I think he's going to get going to get 2 touchdowns. I just don't know how many more he's going to get than that. And I also see Sonic almost having the week off, if you would, in terms of, I think they're going to let Montgomery have the start, and I think they're going to give him the lion's shares of the carries. So if there's a fantasy guy in the backfield to play, and I would never sit Sonic, but I'm just saying, I think the pick to click.
For this one, the pick to click might be Monty.
And then at this point, if you have St. Brown on your roster and aren't starting him or having him be a feature,
I don't know why you wouldn't.
He's Jerry Rice reincarnated. Yeah. And then Sam Laporta would be my other one. Outside of that, I wouldn't touch JMO until this gets straightened out.
And you've been to this stadium before, so you know what the Bengal football atmosphere is like over there. I actually have a good buddy of mine here in town. His cousin is Zach Taylor.
Oh, that's cool. The head coach. Yeah.
Except he's under a little bit of fire right now. Things are not good in Cincinnati right now.
Well, they
are rough.
I mean, they have a they're the Cowboys of Ohio because they have 4 players, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Trey Hendrickson, making a disproportionate amount of their salary. So when they hit on draft picks, they resemble a playoff team, or as far as Joe Burrow can carry them. Mm-hmm. When one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 aren't playing, which has happened the years they don't make the playoffs, that's kind of the story. But yeah, it's a turf grass field. It's along the river. You can walk over all these pedestrian bridges, pretty much whether you stay on the Kentucky side or on the Ohio side. It's easily walkable. The fans couldn't be nicer. Everybody tailgates along the river. And so there's beer vendors, food vendors. They do a good job. I would say as far as visiting NFL stadiums, I'd probably give it like a 8.5 or a 9. Okay. I mean, no real
good
weakness
experience.
to it.
Good experience.
Yeah. So
what? And you like Laporta too, because I want to know. Am I playing Laporta this week?
Play Laporta.
He's had some middling weeks. We'll just put it that way. Better last week probably than previously, but I would play Laporta, I think.
And I wouldn't.
I'm going to
be surprised if Sonic has more yards than Montgomery, but Montgomery's going to get all the goal line looks.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right on that. You're going to get Montgomery a tutty or 2.
And
he didn't get one last week.
And the game ball is going to go to his sister if the Lions pull this out. So I think
good story.
So I'm going to do prediction time. Yeah. I agree with you on the defense. I'm going to say 38-13 Lions. I do think they're going to give up some yards. I'm worried just now that DJ Reed's out. And I'll go through the injury report real quick for you.
Okay.
Khalil Dorsey's on it, and so is Terrion Arnold. So is Kirby Joseph. So you've got 3 stalwarts in that back end. I agree with you. The Lions are going to put pressure on Jake Browning, who's not a good quarterback. I still think if Terrion Arnold doesn't play better than he has through the quarter poll this year, and if Dorsey and Joseph are, a little banged up, no Reed, it puts our secondary as the one weak spot on the field for your Detroit Lions.
And I want to talk about, we've talked a little about JMO. We've talked, somewhat about Arnold here. Do you think Arnold with him, it seems all or nothing. He just doesn't have the ball skills. Like, he goes up, it's either a flag because he mugs the guy, or he just completely blows the coverage and the guy's off on his own somewhere. I never see him just play a guy in good man-to-man coverage. I just don't think he's a lockdown corner or ever will be.
No, and the problem is there were other players, we'll do it a different episode because we're up against the clock, that were taken in that draft that have played much better than he has. So why don't we do that a follow-up? Let's see how he does this week. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
See if he brings it around.
But the two guys I'm concerned about right now are he and J-Mo. I'm
concerned with J-Mo because we paid him so much money. And he's out there dropping footballs that he should
or
not
running the wrong route.
Really quick route.
What's your prediction?
I'm going to go 42-14 Lions. It's real close to yours. I just don't see field goals in this one. I think it's going to be all tutties here. And I think I'm actually probably giving the Bengals a touchdown more than they're going to get. I don't see this being a pretty day at all. I see even maybe a defensive touchdown or two for us. This thing could get ugly. And I don't think things in Cincinnati are going to look pretty when it's all said and done. But it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, who knows? Maybe we struggle with a team we have no business in the world struggling with. I don't know. But yeah, that's about what I've got on that one. Anything else from you?
Go Lions.
Go Lions.